Are we live? Are we live? Is it Sunday? Happy Easter for those of you that celebrate Easter. And happy Sunday to everybody. Oh my gosh, it's good to be with you all. And if you can't tell, I'm excited. And it's like for personal, selfish reasons. It's because I think I worked out all the technical problems. So, where's their wood? Knock on wood. Where did that saying knock on wood come from? Anyways, I'm just excited to be with you all. Excited that I think I may have worked out all of the technical issues. And at least for now, I'm sure there will be more. And I'm excited that, and I'm going to let you in on something. So it's really, really hard to find a time for a live stream that fits everybody. And in fact, I will be relocating back to Los Angeles, hopefully in May, no later than June. And we're going to have to find another time because 8 o'clock Sunday night is 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. And most days I'm out hanging out with homeless people. So as much as I love you guys, we're just going to have to find a time that will also allow me to hang out with homeless people. And Dano is in the UK. He's one of the most loyal people that tune in every week. So we can't go too late either. I mean, going earlier in the day, I'm sure would make Dano happy. I mean, geez, we just got to find a time. So why I picked 8 o'clock on Sundays, I don't take a day off. That's partly because I believe in this work. It's partly because working is my drug. It's partly because I don't have a puppy or a future Mrs. Horvath. So might as well work. And it's partly because I don't have money to do anything, so I might as well work. Anyways, it just seemed smart and a good time slot for 8 o'clock. It just seemed like a good, and the reason why is it was after 60 minutes. And I'm a 60 minutes addict. You got to be addicted to something. And for me, it's 60 minutes and fog. Don't judge me. And how I got addicted to 60 minutes is I got a gig producing my first broadcast show. And I had never done anything that big before. And the CEO said, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to watch 60 Minutes, take notes, watch news, the evening news, because they run and gun, meaning they you shoot that fire at the building, videographer, you shoot that fire at the building, and then you've got to get it on the news in an hour. So you learn to make things happen rather quickly. And then he also said, watch infomercials because they're the best at response television. So, and I'm getting to a point here. So I am a 60 Minutes addict. And tonight, I am so glad. And so usually because of you guys, you're important. I usually only watch the first lead-in segment. Then I start setting up and we get to go. So there was a segment with Darren Walker, who is the CEO, president of the Ford Foundation, which is a big philanthropy, big. And Darren's segment was the second And I almost didn't see it. I mean, I almost said, I'll just watch tomorrow or whatever. And I'm so glad I did, because Darren said something. He said a bunch of things that were just so great. But he was talking, or one of the first statements he made was the difference between generosity and justice. And I've been trying to explain it to you all and to people that watch our YouTube videos and the people that email me and the people that tweet me. For years, I've been trying to explain the difference between generosity and justice. And Darren said it so perfectly. And I will watch it tomorrow when 60 Minutes puts it on YouTube. But the one quote he said so perfectly is, generosity makes the donor feel good. Justice implicates the donor. Do you get that? So generosity makes the donor feel good, and justice implicates the donor. Now, he's talking about much bigger picture of systemic racism and injustice of how, I can't quote him exactly, but he said something, where, it's unthinkable that you could work all day, you can work all week and still be poor. So that is the frame. But for homelessness, and then he went and described it in homeless services. He said, when you feed a homeless person, it makes you feel good. It makes the donor feel good. And you've heard me say this before. There's nothing really wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But generosity makes the donor feel good. It says justice, when you go for justice, it's uncomfortable because it implicates the donor, because we all play a part, that we've got to end that person's homelessness. We have to look at what are the systemic reasons that that person cannot keep a job, that they cannot afford rent, that they cannot get help for their addiction or their mental health. What are those reasons? So the difference between generosity and justice, and that's what Invisible People is. We are fighting for justice. We are trying to change policies to end homelessness. And I know people have a hard time with that, because we have been programmed. And I didn't meet, 2 weeks in a row now, I started off with a rant. And I did not mean, and this might not necessarily be a rant, because I'm not really ranting, because what he said was amazing. I'm just trying to, oh my gosh, so awesome. I mean, it is, and you might have heard me say it like this is, people need food and people need clothes, and we have to help them. We do. But we also have to make it a priority to fix the reasons that they need food and they need clothing. We need to, get them off the streets into housing, and whether that's, permanent supportive housing because they can't get hired, or they have, mental health challenges or addiction challenges, or we need to be able to get people into, bottom line is, nobody should be outside. Nobody should be outside. Nobody. Homelessness isn't camping, right? Homelessness killed. After my own homelessness, I never went camping again. Nope, never went camping again. But, and that, I mean, it's so, generosity makes the donor feel good. And I believe there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I do it myself. I'm happy to give. Here's something. I challenge every one of you this week. You got a whole week, 7 days, to do something. Now, some of you can go over the top and do this every day, but at least once this next week, I challenge you to do something really generous for somebody else. Help them in a significant way, and then don't tell anybody. You might think that's easy, but it's not. And, there's no, when we help somebody, when we provide them a meal or we give them socks or, do something huge like fly a family across country to their family or get a homeless person a wheelchair or get a homeless person in housing, or like I did with Addie when she was homeless, I took her to go eat cheese because that's what she wanted. She wanted to go eat cheese, right? But don't tell anybody about it. So that's your homework this week. Do something good. And it could be somebody that lives in your house or you work with, or, somebody at the grocery store, doesn't matter. Find somebody, do something super generous, and don't tell anybody. So I do that all the time. It's interesting. I made, and I'm not going to go into it here because it always creates drama, but I made a comment in the community section about how a bunch of, and how the light's changing. Yay! Didn't we start off saying there was going to be no, didn't we start off saying there was going to be no technical problems? Did you see that? Okay. We just got to accept the technical problems. Anyways, I made a comment. Some of you might have seen it. Some of you might have even commented on it about how there's a new genre of YouTubers that are just filming. I mean, one guy I was watching today, he tried to one guy I was watching today, when the homeless person asked him to stop filming, basically started antagonizing him to punch him. It's horrible. And then one of the commenters said, why don't you leave boxes of poison donuts? And they're doing it for money. And I'm not going to, I'm going to address it at some point. It's just not the place for this. And a lot of people responded very positive. They've noticed it too. And then there was people that said, well, you're being hypocritical. Well, there are ads on this video because it's me. I'm grateful for, I see Anonymous gave $20 and other people gave $20 and it's raised $194 and I'm grateful. The reason that's there is because y'all give super chats and then YouTube takes 30%. So these donations, 100% goes to invisible people. So I put that up there. But a bunch of people, are very critical of my statement, thinking that we're the same. And we're not. First off, there's no ads on any interview videos. But secondly, we have protocols in place so no homeless person gets hurt. Everybody, we ask for permission. Our goal is to end homelessness, not they're filming to increase traffic for ad dollars. I don't care if one person, 10 people, or a million people watch a video. What matters to me is the right person watches the video. We do not chase likes. We do not chase views. That's what sets us apart. But I think the one thing that sets us apart that you guys might not be aware of, and I kind of hinted at it earlier, is I was a great response television producer. I know how to pull the strings. I could do all those. Let me put it this way. Often, I do generous things to help homeless people, small, medium, and large. It might be something small, it might be something medium, or like when I fill a whole restaurant, I take a whole group of homeless people to a fancy restaurant. And if I do that quite often. And if I open up a camera, and someday I might film it because it is really awesome. And if I took a camera, it changes everything. It changes the dynamics. The moment you break out a camera, it changes everything. And to invisible people, as long as I'm alive, the number one priority is the relationship with the homeless person. Everything we do is to help end homelessness. And we are very careful never to hurt anybody. And if I wanted to, my gosh, I could ring the bell on friggin' views like you wouldn't believe. I think 4 times now we've taken a group of homeless people to a fancy restaurant. It's wonderful. It make for great YouTube content. Even the title, taking homeless people to fancy restaurant. You'd all click on it, put an ad on it, make money. No. Why? Because it's not us. That's not what we do. We're not about views. We're about ending homelessness. Huge difference. Huge difference. Huge. So, hey, Auntie D, thank you. I've got to go check on Derek. Addie, do you know? Just going to make sure he's okay. It's not like Addie or Derek to miss. Hey, Walter, it's not like Addie or Derek to miss a live stream. Occasionally they do. Occasionally I have to say we're going to reschedule. For those of you that don't know, Addie is formerly homeless. Derek, who normally is with us, and I am just checking on him, is homeless. They're usually Walter's in the chat, a bunch of other people. A quick question. One of the things that has really been mind-blowing to me, I don't want mind-blowing. What the heck? One of the things that has been liking me, there he is. Woohoo! Just checking on you. I just left you a message. Don't have to respond. One of the things that has been enlightening to me is that how many of you on YouTube are homeless or are facing rough times and might be homeless? And I understand some of you might not even want to acknowledge that publicly. But if you're homeless or at risk of being homeless, let us know in the chat. And again, happy Easter for everybody that celebrates Easter. And happy Sunday to everybody. And for those of you on the world, happy Monday morning. I'm Shelly, I'm sorry. Rebecca, that is not true. Nobody's kicking out homeless people for illegals. That is false. Michelle, Hungary is my ancestry. Croatian, as you know. Horvath has mass. Horvath means Croatia. And I didn't know that until I spoke at the Geneva Forum of Social Change. I actually I can't talk tonight. I keynoted it. Well, Brian, I'm so sorry. Brian just said he's homeless for over 20 years. Hey, Matthew, thank you. Wow. What is my recommended? Where you get the name Invisible People? To be honest, and I wish I'd remembered this. I had another name that I really, really liked, but the URL was taken. One thing in marketing, marketers don't look at is, social media accounts and URL. So I had another name. I wish I remembered what it was. So Invisible People came after a story of a gentleman who I don't know if I met him. I just heard the story of, so you guys, I don't see it as much anymore. I call it the pamphlet people, religious people handing out pamphlets, tracts. Most of them are Christians, but other religions do it too. And there was a guy on Hollywood Boulevard that somebody was walking by and went to hand him a tract. And the guy was like, "What? You can see me? How can you see me? I'm invisible." And obviously the person was having an episode of some kind, but you could really see, for any of us that have been homeless, most of the time people walk by and they don't give us eye contact. So it is pretty easy to see that or to comprehend how a homeless person would actually, after a bit of time of people ignoring them, think they're invisible. So that is where I originally got the Invisible People from. Sarar, interesting point. I would have to agree. So Cola 808 asking about, basically autonomous zones and communal living and intentional communities. So I lived in a communal church environment for 7 years, and I don't think I could do it. And I actually saw children, not sexually abused, but I saw children abused. And, when you're living with a lot of other people, you learn a lot about humanity because, normally those of us that go to church, not that I go to church anymore, but, those of us that go to church, we see our fellow worshipers twice a week, maybe once a week. So everything is nice. But when you're in a communal environment, who farts, who burps, who doesn't brush their teeth, who yells at their wife, who yells at their husband, who yells at their kids. And it could be very, very challenging. I don't believe a communal living, intentional communities is something that is sustainable. I think a lot of people go into those intentional communities and they love it for a short time, maybe a year, maybe a two, and then they find a significant other, they have kids, and they is it still freezing? I see the video still freezing a little. Is that just on my end, or do you guys getting a little free? I thought I took care of it. So Brenda, I don't, there's certain things. Um, as a nonprofit, we've branded ourselves. Everybody knows Invisible People. It's like you cannot trademark pizza, right? Um, so but people can talk about Invisible People. They can title their song. They can, title even whatever Invisible People. That's fine. I think everybody knows Invisible People. We branded ourselves. Now, you guys might remember Invisible Children. So the original name of Invisible People was invisiblepeople.tv. And I kind of grabbed that. There was a church back when like the internet was new and Christianity was jumping on the internet and doing digital Bibles. And, so there was a church called lifechurch.tv and it had the URL in the name. And I thought that was brilliant. So there was also a very, very popular ministry called Invisible Children, which was toy soldiers in Africa. And they know, I think they exist in some capacity now, but they were really, really big. I mean, when I said Invisible People, people would go, oh, Invisible Children? No, those are toy soldiers. We're homeless Americans. I mean, not toy soldiers, kid soldiers, child soldiers. So what I did was call it invisiblepeople.tv. But, and you may or may not know this, we have a board of directors because we are an official 501c3 nonprofit, which means I have a board that I answer to. I'm not the boss. They are the boss. It gives accountability and governance. Another thing that separates us from others. Anyways, they made me many years ago, and I didn't want to. I did not want to just call us Invisible People, but they made me drop the .tv and separate it into two words. So. Manuel, thank you so much. Lady T's in the house. Hey, Matthew, your comment on Tadano, I would love to be able to do more updates. Another thing, people think I do this just to travel. Most of the travel is paid for by other people. I don't have any control of where I'm going. But if we had money, I would put a significant effort into trying to do more updates. But to do updates, you have to travel back to where those people are. And that, hey, flying over trout. Flying over trout is no longer homeless. He got himself a place. Yes, flying over trout. We're going to have to do the Chinese theater. I mean, now I don't know. Did you ever find your vaccination? Were you able to get vaccinated? Hopefully, by the time I move back to LA, we'll all be vaccinated. So Los Angeles rent is insane. I am stressing trying to find a place to move back. So the places that I can afford are in neighborhoods that I can't live in. So I'm going to, unless you guys have a better idea, I'm going to go through some of the questions or statements people wanted us to talk about. And one is how quickly Felipe asked, how quickly people dismiss you if you run out of money. He wanted to talk about that. And hey, Lone Ranger, I have an interesting paradigm on that. I have some interesting beliefs. So I think all of us, unless you're really young, you've helped people who didn't help you back, right? That you help somebody with their rent or with their car payment, or you help them move, or when it came time for you to move, they weren't there, and it hurts. I think we've all felt that hurt. It even makes you want to stop giving. It wants you to stop trusting and believing in other people. You been there? I have a bunch of times. And one thing that I've learned in my adult life, and I don't know how it is, I think it's this, call it karma, call it whatever you want, this universal law. But I have helped people. The people that I help normally don't help you back and it might be they are not able to, right? I'm not trying to put judgment on anybody, but sometimes we expect that. What I will tell you is that I am a very generous person. I do stuff all the time I don't even share. And how it comes back is like when I was falling into homelessness the last time, complete strangers. I mean, I knew them on social media, but complete strangers who I had never shaken their hand, done a phone call. I mean, one person before my house went into foreclosure paid my mortgage, and that was like $1,500. I've never seen them again. A couple of people paid my rent. I mean, when I lost my job before I started Invisible People, there was a period there that was really, really scary. And I was so close to homelessness. I was so close to homelessness. But people were people some I might never see again, were extremely generous. But Felipe's question is how quickly do people dismiss you? It's a strange question, but I've experienced that too. When I'm working in the television industry, or when I was doing good in life, there's lots of people around, and as soon as you're homeless, I mean, when I went from the television industry to homeless, I'm not connected to anybody. I mean, there's a couple of my old employees and coworkers that were Facebook friends now, but nobody was, you lose it. So I might pronounce this name wrong. I've been meaning, hopefully you're watching, Nathiana, beautiful name. But why I'm hoping you're watching is your comment kind of sparked a bunch of drama from people that, who knows. But what's the best way to help, she asks. What as a community would it take to get these human like us off the streets? I live in LA and I've never seen so many unhoused people ever. I don't feel right about it at all. Well, first off, I'm not happy you don't feel right about it, but I'm glad you don't feel right about it. And I don't know if that makes sense. I'm never going to rejoice when somebody else is feeling discomfort, but I think if you don't feel discomfort about homeless people, then we have a problem. So if you don't feel right about it from the start, Melka's in the house. If you don't feel right about it from the start, I should put it like this. If you don't feel right about it, that's a good starting point. So the homelessness we have today, and I'll talk about this briefly. I mean, in the 80s, Republicans cut $15 billion, $15 billion, $15 billion. I don't know why I did that, but 15 billion is a lot of money. And back then, it's probably 30 billion now, right? 30 billion now in affordable housing funding. They also closed mental institutions. They did a lot of stuff, cut SNAP benefits, foods. No, I don't think it was called SNAP back then, but Republicans significantly tanked affordable housing. And almost overnight, chronic homeless was born. There wasn't chronic homeless before the 80s. Didn't even exist. Wasn't even a word. And almost overnight in the 80s, these gigantic nonprofits, Corporation for Supportive Housing, National Alliance to End Homelessness, the United Ways, all these mega huge gazillion shelters housing thousands of people, they didn't even exist before the 80s. And I shared this on Jake's video. Thank you, Jake, if you're watching. Thank you for having me. But somebody said that if that was the cause, then that tells me that we can fix it. And I love that. And I'm stealing it because it's true. So in the 80s, I always do this. I say I'm going to explain something brief and then I go dragging it on. So in the 80s, funding was cut for affordable housing. $15 billion worth. Then, and this is Democrat, time out. Is this the timeout thing? Homelessness is an American crisis. One of the things, and it happened in this comment with this wonderful woman asking this question, is people all of a sudden start going, well, Democrats, it's the Democrats. It's kind of strange. You don't see Democrats saying that about Republicans. Could that be the influence of Fox News? Anyways, here's the truth. Homelessness is an American problem. Homelessness is growing in every friggin' city in America, Canada, UK. Homelessness is growing. Whether it's liberal or conservative or Republican or Democrat or red or blue or left or right, homelessness is growing in every fucking city. I'm frothing at the mouth. It's an American problem. It's all our problem. And the more we do this, oh, it's the Democrats' fault. It's the Republicans' fault. No, it's our problem. And we have to fix it. and we're going to have to figure out how to work together. So stop this Democrat Republican bullshit, because it's not helping our country. It is a stupid division that was created by politicians on both sides, and mostly right-wing media, but left-wing media does it too. They divide us for profit, and we're playing right into it, and we have to stop it, or this country is not going to exist. It really isn't. So anyways, let me back 15 billion. I'm going to do that every time we do 15 billion. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that every time. So $15 billion was cut in the 80s, affordable housing funding. Then politicians, both Democrat and Republican and independent and Green Party or whatever, they all started really focusing and favoring housing developers. So I don't know what city you live in, but chances are you're seeing luxury apartments go up like crazy. There's no affordable housing, but luxury apartments are going up like crazy. Rents have gone up 75% in this country. 75% in 5 years, rents have gone up, while wages have remained stagnant. That's significant. So in the 80s, affordable housing was funding for affordable housing was cut $15 billion. Rents have gone up 75% in the last 5 years. Politicians have focused on developers instead of affordable housing. Now we have a pandemic. I really try to be a positive person. I really like to be a glass half full thinker. I really like to be able to tell you good news, but shit's going to hit the fan. We're going to see homelessness like we've never, ever seen. There's 14 million people at risk of eviction right now. And thank God for the economic relief that is coming in. And hopefully it will prevent some of that. But let's say just a million more homeless people end up on the street. It's going to tank the system. So going back to what can you do? And you're going to hear me repeat this over and over again. And I mean it, and I mean it, and I mean it, is first educate yourself. You're asking the right questions. You know, there's a bunch of crap. Thank you, Matthew. You're awesome. There's a bunch of crap online. YouTube is now filled with garbage, literal garbage about homelessness. So find the truth. Educate yourself. Educate those around you. If you hear one of your coworkers, say, "Oh, I wish that guy would get a job," say, "You know what? How do you get a job when you can't shower? How do you get a job when you haven't had sleep? How do you get a job? Or better yet, is there a job in America where you can afford a one-bedroom house on minimum wage?" And the pandemic has killed most jobs. So educate yourself. Then get politically active. Oh my gosh, I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress the reason we're here is politicians, both sides have done, I've already sworn. Politicians on both sides. I really try not to swear online. I do. I try not to swear in person even. But cuss words have a place. And one of those places is to accentuate stupidity. And politicians both sides have done dumb shit. And we need to get politically active. We need to get politically active to change policy to help those who need help. Right now, I mean, I'm not one that has all the stats and everything else, but during the pandemic, I mean, the top 1% made billions and billions in wealth, and those of us down at the bottom, we're still hurting. So educate yourself and others. Get politically active. We have to change to help those that need help. And last but not least, I suggest, and I'm the only nonprofit, you guys probably sick of me saying this, that will tell you to help other nonprofits. We do great stuff. We need support. $360 raised. Thank you. I'm grateful. It's important work. You're helping to make it happen. But I recommend people connect to local nonprofits. If you live in St. Louis, find a St. Louis nonprofit. If you are living in Tampa or Anchorage, Alaska, find a local nonprofit that is working to end homelessness and then support them. And try a few. You know, you might go hang out with a nonprofit and it might not feel right. Well, go find another one and find one until you find one that's a fit. Hey, Robert, thank you. And we need you guys. You know, you guys, you're the core group. There's 250 of you right now. And I don't publicize this. This is just us hanging out Sunday night. I don't tweet it out. I let our online support group know for people that are homeless to join us. And that's only because a formerly homeless woman asked that I do that. But it's up to us. It really, really is up to us. You know, I mean, I know it's corny and cliche, you know, be the change that you want to see and all this, but the world is messed up right now and it's getting worse. And with the pandemic, we're not even politicians and nonprofits. And it's almost counterintuitive for them to say the truth. They've got to say, after I just tell you to support other nonprofits, right? No other nonprofit does that. And nonprofits will tell you, we're winning. We just housed 20 people. We're ending homelessness. We're ending homelessness, right? And what they need to be saying is, you know, we're doing better than we ever have. But there's more people entering into homelessness than have ever before. You know, you guys know I spend a lot of time in Los Angeles. Once I relocate, hopefully we'll be able to, you know, people will start bringing me around the country again. Maybe we'll raise money. I can travel. Los Angeles is done better than it's ever had in housing people. Record amount of people off the streets into housing. But there's more people entering into homelessness every day that they can house. And that's why we have to fix the affordable housing crisis. We've done better at closing the back door, but we left the front door wide open. It's really that simple. Whew. You guys got like, how many times did I rant tonight? How many? Anybody keeping count? Dano, you keeping count? Neither Dano or Derek told me to breathe tonight, so they must have been minor minor rants. Yeah, Ryan, homelessness is horrible, tents everywhere, and it's going to get worse. Guarantee you. Matthew, at least 5 times. Derek, 4 to 7. We're gonna have to start doing a rant counter. Thank you, Shelley. Hey, Lord Humongous. I had a couple of houses in North Hollywood back in the day. Okay. It is 8:55 upstate New York time. We got about 5 minutes. What do you guys? You got a couple of quick ones in, unless you guys get me riled up and you get an extended rant. Vic. See? Oh my gosh, here we go. Extended rant. Vic says homelessness is a drug problem. Vic, most drug addicts are living in apartments. Most drug addicts live in houses. They do. Most homeless people are sober. 73% of homeless people are sober. That is the God's honest truth. If most drug addicts never end up homeless, they live in apartments, they live in houses. Stop believing stereotypes. Stop believing harmful beliefs that have been perpetuated. Anyways. Oh, wow. Flying over trout. It was your stimulus check that got you out of homelessness. That is awesome. Hey, everybody clap for Star. Everybody deserves housing. Jason, spot on. Jason's been paying attention, I'm telling you. Okay, we got 4 minutes left. Thank you, Yates. Vic, you keep on perpetuating. Vic, most homeless people are children under the age of 16. They've never touched drugs. Okay, we're down to the last 3 minutes. So I want to thank you all for putting up with me while I'm upstate New York. I'm really working hard. The next couple of weeks, I am really going to work hard at getting out of this house, both personally and professionally. For visible people and myself, I have to get out of here. And I can't believe I've been here for a year. Just a little recap: after my mom died and I was actually taking care of her for a couple of years, I decided to go and travel for a little bit. I just needed a break. In hindsight, I should have probably moved last year, but I needed a break. I also needed to get out and see if I could use invisible people's influence to help homeless people during the coronavirus. Thank you, Anonymous. And thank you, Lord Humongous. And now I've got to get out of here and back to Los Angeles. So I haven't been posting the content like I normally do. As you guys know, when I'm in LA or any city other than this one, I'm out on the streets helping people every day and here, So thank you guys for putting up with me. For Addie and Derek, the best moderators on the internet. We got to get them back on the show soon. I know Derek's got a bunch of updates, and Addie's probably got a bunch of kids or pets or something to share with us. Ain't that right, Addie? You guys, Derek, would you post a link to your YouTube in the chat? I'll keep going long enough. I keep forgetting to promote your YouTube, Derek. Please feel free to post it in there. Addie, are you YouTubing still, Addie? Addie always has news. Derek, so Addie and Derek, if you want to, maybe you don't want to, post links to your YouTube in the chat, please, so other people can connect with you guys. Thank you, Jen. Just so you know, in other news, we are in pre-production for a movie on a woman living in her car. Super excited about it. The producer, Coco Leah 808. What? You're welcome. There, Derek's YouTube. Okay, Addie's is on hold. So Derek just put his YouTube on there. We're going to get Derek to tweet too. I know it. And Derek's been posting a lot about what he's up to. So anyways, Derek and Addie are the best moderators. You guys are the best audience. I'm grateful that we spend this time together every Sunday. Hang in there. Homelessness is going to get worse, and we need you. We got to create an army to scream real loud and change policy. As we said earlier from Darren Walker's, and I recommend, if you're on the West Coast, you can still watch 60 Minutes, I think, on the, it'll be on, it will be on the YouTube tomorrow. They usually upload a day late, but his piece about, generosity makes the donor feel good, and, justice implicates the donor is spot on. And we all have to take action to end homelessness, all of us. It's an American problem. All of us, whether you're Democrat, liberal, or green like a frog, I don't know where. Some of this stuff, you can tell I did drugs in my past, huh? And you might wonder, am I still sober? And yes, this August, knock on wood, we'll be celebrating 26 years sober. So anyways, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you, Addie. Thank you, Derek. Have a wonderful evening, and see y'all next week.